Hey, good morning, everybody. Jim Allen, the Marketing Notary. Today, we got just a great interview coming up, and I'm just so pumped about this. Our goal as notaries is to build a strong, trusted notary business that gets what? Repeat clients, number one. We want those repeat clients. And two, we get good, great Google reviews to help build that online presence. So many of you know this lady. She's a special lady. Her name's Debbie Best. She's a 2024 NNA Notary of the Year. Holy cow. We got some royalty here today. Debbie is the CEO of the Best Signature and Seal. It's a trusted mobile notary, apostille agent, courier for the Department of State, I'm sure, and for other places too. She's also a certified signing agent and remote online notary in the DC area and has been around for decades. This is a lady that's got some great experience. She has a deep commitment to improving notary policy. Maybe you don't know this about her, and education. She actively helps officials and the NNA community. So our key takeaway today is Debbie is going to reveal the non-negotiable habits that help her with her decades-long, highly ethical notary business. So we hope that you learn how to stop worrying about calls and start being seen as the ultimate pro in your market. So let's dive right into this. Thanks for being here. If you wouldn't mind, please smash that like button, hit subscribe, and share this with one of your notary friends that needs to hear this from Debbie. Debbie, I want to thank you for being here today. It's a real honor to have you here. And I'm really happy because you have a lot of experience, industry experience. You've been in the notary world for what? Am I right? 40 years?
Actually, 41 and a half at this point.
Wow.
It'll be 42 years next year in March.
Okay. Wow. Before we get too deep into this conversation about notary work and how you've succeeded in the notary world and the other things that you do, can you just start by just telling us a little bit about yourself and how you got started and who you are?
Jim, first of all, thank you for inviting me to this session. I hope my voice will stay with me. Excuse me, last Wednesday, I had no voice at all. And would you believe I was actually scheduled to go to a court hearing that I learned about just the day before on a notarization that I had done. But anyway,
Wow.
that matter got continued to next year. But I am Debbie Best, and I started out in the notary field only because I was working at a law firm at the time, and law firms need to have a notary on staff. So I was, at some point, became the actually lead notary in our DC office. So when I first started out, I was working at a very small law firm. And then I joined another law firm when I became not just one notary at the firm, but we had about 6 notaries at that point.
Wow.
Then some years later, the firm merged with a Boston-based law firm where I think we ended up having well over 60 notaries across all of our offices.
Wow.
Well, just within the DC office where I worked, I realized at some point that when we had to do a notarization, we weren't all doing the same thing. Some would ask for ID. We had an intranet where you could just look up someone's name and see their picture, their profile. Some people would just use that if they didn't know the signer. They just look up on the internet. Some people just personal knowledge, maybe you didn't ask for identification, but all sorts of things were happening with even what was being recorded in the journal. So if you presented a driver's license, one notary would have recorded everything on that driver's license from date of birth to issuance and expiration date. Some people weren't even recording much in their journal at all. So there were all kinds of practices. And at that point, I had started attending notary classes. And even though I had been a notary for more than 10 years, I realized when I took some notary classes at a local college that taught notary classes, many of those courses were taught under Elaine Bright Harris. and her husband, Fred Harris. And I signed up for those classes. And that's when I realized how much I didn't know about notary. I knew more than maybe most, but recognized I still had a lot to learn. So I signed up for all of these notary courses. And in the process of taking those notary classes, I heard Elaine mention the National Notary Association. And in 2009, she was Notary of the Year, NNA's Notary of the Year. So, of course, she's promoting joining the National Notary Association. I'm hearing all these things when I learned about being a loan signing agent. So it was like this whole world was opening up to me because I had signed up for that one course.
Wow.
And I actually attended my first conference in 2012, NNA conference in 2000, which was held in Scottsdale, Arizona. But anyway, I went back to my office and spoke to someone who was in charge of business development for all the support team. And it was just coincidence, we can call it, that she was visiting our DC office. She was based in Boston, but she was in our DC office. I had just come back from the notary conference, and I'm all excited about what I've learned. But I spoke to her and I said, I just left this national conference for notaries, and I saw how you can have a room full of notaries from all across the country, but we all perform basically the same fundamental tasks, identifying the signer and certifying that they actually signed the document. And we should actually have something like that here at our firm, because here I know notaries do all different things. So we actually ended up having, and about a year later, we actually held across all of our offices notary training.
Get
Actually
everybody
had
on the same page, right?
everyone on the same page. And being at this big law firm, this notary training was going to happen during a lunch break. So normally we would always feed people when they are giving up their lunch hour. We're going to provide lunch. And when I sent out the notice that the firm was going to have this training across all of our offices, which at the time included, of course, DC, Boston, New York City, our California offices, San Diego, Palo Alto, San Francisco. It was, once people had to sign up, I realized the firm didn't have 60 notaries. We had a lot of closet notaries. When they found out lunch was going to be provided, of course, everyone signed up. And so it was done over video conference. Elaine actually came to my law firm and actually taught this session. Of course, it was a hit. And in the Massachusetts, they're not required to maintain a journal. But after the training, many of them, for best practices, did say, hey, I'd like to have a journal. But that's how I really got started within broadening what I was doing for the law firm across all of our other offices as far as the notary training. And I'm going to say, and also being a DC notary as well as a Maryland notary, we were having annual conferences around Notary Public Day in Maryland, and workshops were being presented. And I actually was one of the workshop presenters with, at that time, the director of the DC Notary office. And she and I collaborated quite a bit, of course, with the conference and the presentation we were doing. We definitely had to collaborate about what we were going to present. Usually it was on the DC notary practices. But I ended up doing a lot of collaboration with her over the years, which I think is what gained me some recognition at the National Notary Association.
Let's move on to your 2024 award from the NNA. So what qualified you to get that distinguishing award? How did you?
That's a good question. I wish I knew the answer.
Well, I think we all know the answer, don't we?
A lot of it, again, had to do with, I think it was a few things. because I've done a lot of community service,
Yeah.
much of it unrelated to notary work. And that has been a lifetime of community service.
Okay.
I think that was a very big part of it. But also, again, some of the work that I did with I'll say, collaboration with the director of the DC Notary office, there were times she would reach out, or even maybe I would call her and say, hey, there's something in the handbook, wording, or something's misspelled, or
Yeah.
just needed correction. And I'm working at a law firm, and part of my job is proofreading, core briefs, proofreading.
Oh, wow.
I think I consider myself to be, if there's a mistake, my eye goes right to it. Not saying I'm
Right.
perfect. I
So
get
I
them strong
understand that
out.
you helped rewrite some rules.
I,
Mm, that
I don't
sort of
want to take
thing.
a lot of credit for that, but I definitely was presented with a lot of drafts and asked to give my opinions, give corrections, give edits, revisions, and it would go, maybe I get a draft, and then you look at another draft, maybe weeks later you're seeing it again. That went on for quite some time. So I think definitely, I know it was something I brought up at my law firm when it was review time. It was like, can I say anything about what I'm doing with the DC notary office? And they just felt not quite what we would consider what your duties and responsibilities here. But
Right.
anyway, I think that added to the recognition I received from the National Notary Association. And I had done some workshop presentations.
Yeah, Debbie, you bring expertise. That kind of expertise into the notary world is so important. People that know the someone like with your expertise to proof, to understand, and to go, hey, that doesn't make sense. We should look at it this way is, I think, a really special gift and a skill that many of us don't have. So you're an advocate for the notary community. We appreciate that. Let's dive into what's trending with you right now. If you don't mind switching gears here, let's talk about a little bit about business. So for you, Debbie, what's trending right now, and where do you see the next year or two going for your business? And maybe explain what you're doing as far as your business is concerned.
I was just looking at some statistics, and what I'm seeing, of course, I already knew this, but apostille work right now is hot.
Yeah.
It's at the top of what I've been doing really over the past years. Much of that is due to the fact that the State Department, the U.S. State Department, reopened its doors for walk-in services.
Yeah.
And I've been doing quite a bit of work for notaries actually across the country. And just because of my proximity, the closeness I have to that agency, I have gained quite a bit of work, Apostille. And actually, I see that growing even more
Yeah.
because as I learn more, because apostille is really a unique category. You think you know it all, but then there's still always something more to.
Right here really knows their stuff, very thorough about getting information to you. And I appreciate her so much. So yeah, the apostille business in the notary business, it's just booming now. And it's good to be connected with the right people in this business. And Debbie, I think you're one of those. Just me personally, I have a lot of people that need FBI background checks, apostilles,
Mhm.
because they're expats or moving to Panama or wherever they're going, or Germany, and they need those FBI background checks expedited. That's something I personally use Debbie for, and man, what a great service. And I'm sure
Thank
you're
you.
seeing lots of that kind of.
Lo- Lots of
Mhm. Yeah.
folks just like you, Jim.
Yeah.
And that's where I'd really need to expand to the general public because fellow notaries and attending conferences, which I love to do because I love traveling,
Yeah.
but my fellow notaries is really my clientele. That's what's really giving me the work at this moment. And so I know I need to expand so I get more work from the general public. Because while I help notaries make money, when I can charge the general public what I really want to charge,
Yeah, right.
really where I make the money.
I agree with that. Yeah, there's got to be a nice blend there for you. But as you get more and more well known in our community, that what you have available is it's so handy, and you handle things so well. So besides Apostille, are you doing any notary work, or has that Apostille work taken over the notary side of your business?
Yes, and let me just add to the apostille work. Get most of my work, I would say actually 90% of it comes from fellow notaries across the country.
Yeah.
A lot of work I get when I'm just standing in line waiting for the State Department to open its doors. You will find there are people, first of all, the State Department opens their doors at 7:30 in the morning. Many of us are already standing in line at 6:30. And that is because and a lot of us are couriers. Some of the couriers that are just dropping off documents, and there's a 15 document limit. So you have these couriers who are in line just as early as I am because we really want to get in and get out as
Right.
quickly as possible. Now, there are going to be people in line who may have shown up at 6:30, but they may have traveled from California and spent the night before in a hotel because they didn't know there were people like me who probably could have done the job for them. But they come themselves because they've got to get the document turned around quickly. So they come in. Some will drive. I hear the stories. I drove 3 hours. Someone I know flew in. I was able to assist him. He flew in from Europe. I know we can fly in from California,
Wow.
Texas. So there is potential right in the line where we're waiting. And so I have gone so much now. I know the couriers. We also know each other's names. And they actually can be a wealth of information from the couriers because many of them are dropping off at the State Department and going to other places, embassies, consulates. And so if I had not traveled, say, to a particular embassy, I'm going to ask one of the couriers, hey, what's it like going over to the Embassy of Jordan? There's information, there's money in the line, information in that line. So getting there early, you can gain so much wisdom from that and business because a lot of the people who are traveling to the State Department from various areas because they had no other option and they come themselves. I recognize, I say, hey, is it your first time? And if they say yes, we've got a conversation going because a lot of them believe, even though they look at the website for the State Department, a lot of them come with their, excuse me, FedEx envelopes or UPS envelopes, excuse me, believing that the State Department is going to ship their documents back to them. And State Department will not do that. It's a walk-in service. You will have to walk in to pick up your document. They will not ship it back.
Interesting.
They
Okay.
will not ship it back to you. Even if your envelope's prepaid, they don't accept your envelope. You will have to return to pick it up.
So
So
walk in is walk
immediately-
in. Walk it in, walk it out.
That's right.
Okay. Interesting.
Of course, Debbie's here. I can pick it up for you. So I'll actually have someone mailing me something. It's actually her receipt to pick up her document. She's mailing that document to me so I can pick up her document. And of course, she's paying me to pick up her document. She's in New Jersey and she didn't want to have to come back to the State Department. So
Wow.
do that for
That is probably something those people that are coming in from New York or Europe or California that don't know. Oh my gosh.
So there's money in the line, waiting in the line.
That's really interesting. I never thought about that.
Exactly.
I'm gonna start hanging out at Money SOS, Idaho Secretary of State, and just waiting for people. I know all those people down there too, and they say similar things. They're like, "Oh, we reject stuff all the time. I wish you'd just stay out in the parking lot because you could renotarize things." apostille.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And actually, I've done a little bit of that too when people wanted to get something notarized. I say, hey, I'm a notary.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's an apostille and slash, let's call it courier aspect of it, where I'm facilitating that for someone who thought maybe they were, some people even think when they come that the State Department is going to authenticate it the same day. But
Yeah.
that's not
Lots
going
of
to.
information that people just don't know. That's why the apostille business in for notaries is booming, because nobody, it's such a confusing process. Everybody that I help with apostille says the same thing. I don't understand it. It's confusing and it's bureaucratic. And that is really, once you understand those three elements, what people, the pain points that people are having, and you understand how to navigate through it, it's gold mine. It's a real gold mine.
Yes, and that's the other thing. I have to always have my ears open
Right?
because when you just hear the conversations, it's, oh, did you come from California?
Yeah.
You'll have to travel back in 2 weeks. And they're like, oh, no, I didn't know that. So the other aspect of what I've been doing is general notary work that kind of ranks high, but I do a lot of loan modification signings.
Okay.
And loan mods don't pay a lot of money, but I'll do them because they're quick. Times quicker than general notary work, especially if you get, say, called to a hospital.
Right.
Oh, my rule about the loan modifications is it needs to be close to home. And even though the pay is small, it's got to be something I can just get in and get out. So I really try to confirm the appointment, make sure all my parties going to be there, prep the documents as much as I can, apart from signing or putting my seal on anything, and just really letting the signer know. And, I give them expectation that this will not take long. I'd say it should take 12 minutes or
Yeah.
less.
Yeah. Literally, on those they should. It used to be in a. That brings up a question. So you do apostille, you do courier work. I think you're a remote online notary too, aren't you?
Yes, and that's something I haven't really done much of at all.
Okay.
I have signed up with just recently with Blue Notary. So
Okay.
I know I'm going to be pulling all of that into definitely the apostille world.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just new getting into that at the moment.
Well, that's interesting. You use Blue Note. I use Pactima. I'll drop the link below if you're interested in using that. I think Pactima is a pretty good platform. So the other thing, let's see, we've got Notary, we've got Apostille. You're diving into the remote online notarization. Are you doing any fingerprinting, anything like that?
No, no
No.
fingerprint. No. What's the other thing that people tend to do?
I just it just blew out of my head here. What is it? Oh, I was oh yeah, this is what I want to know from you. I'm really curious about this. Do you still work with signing services, or are you past?
That's where the loan modification work
Yeah.
comes from. Yeah,
Okay.
so I will, and there are a couple of signing services. If they send out a notification, I pay attention to both, but I haven't done many loan signings.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, with the apostille work and having to get up so early to do the State Department runs, and sometimes and this doesn't happen a lot, but one particular morning, I had to do a State Department run. Then I had to travel to get a notary certification because I was going to go to the Maryland Secretary of State in Annapolis. And that's State Department in Annapolis or Washington, D.C. and Annapolis. That's a lot of driving in one day. So
Yeah.
I just knew I needed to get to the State Department, drop and pick up documents, first go to the county office to get the notary certification, then continue to the Maryland SOS. And I know another time I needed to go to the District of Columbia office for authentication. And sometimes doing all of that in one day your day is pretty much wiped out by that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
And
Yeah.
then in between, when you pick up the apostille, the courtesy, I'm sending a scan.
Oh, did we lose Debbie?
An office that's just down the street from me. I have to be very strategic in my scheduling my day where I'm going to drop off a FedEx package. So just with the apostille work itself, there's still sort of those administrative tasks. I keep a spreadsheet on everything all the work I do. So just keeping that up. But yeah, it's a lot. People think, oh, you're just dropping it off. But
Yeah.
sometimes we gotta do some research and,
Yes.
on a phone call you're holding for someone, especially at these government agencies, sometimes you're on hold a long time waiting for someone to pick up or just send an email. That might be more than one sentence. You're really trying to explain what you need an answer to.
Yes. Yeah. She did that for me, folks. Yeah, I have this feeling that as we mature as notaries, we're getting into these higher end items, that the signing services in your business are going to become less and less important. And my goal for 2026, which I've pretty much accomplished in 2025, was to kick the signing service to the curb. Not because they're bad, it's just because I'm moving on. And so that is my goal, and I still do loan signings like you. I have escrow officers that call me up just almost on a weekly basis. The notary has responded to Debbie best, I think, and you're well known in the community. And what's has surprised you the most? How notaries have responded to you?
Oh my goodness. A lot of them have really, really become more your friends. I know at the past conference, there were a lot of, I felt like I go to many of the conferences, and I felt the last conference, the one in 20 earlier this year, really felt like I established more of a relationship because now having attended so many conferences, I know a lot more people. And
Right.
sometimes maybe I haven't worked with them over the year, but when I see them at conference, most times I remember faces better than I remember names. And it just felt more like family at this last conference. So the relationship is definitely there. And so it's easier to talk about your business and people want to know, oh, what do you do? And I've had so many people really reach out to me. And I think that's part of why I haven't really promoted my apostille work so much to the general public is
Hmm.
because all of these notaries that I have come to know have been sending me work.
Wow.
And if there's not work, they have a question, I'm always happy to spend time on the phone with fellow notaries. I may not be getting paid, but just that sharing and helping someone is it's my life. That's what I do.
Yeah. You're an
And
educator.
recently, I had a notary, reach out to me. It was over the summer, and when she called, she was just getting started with her apostille work, and I was just telling her, "You need to make sure," even though I need to do the same thing, but I'm telling her, "When you do your website, be sure to list FBI background check, list those documents that, may need to be apostille." And she was like, "Oh, that's great information, and what about this?" And we had talked 2 hours. Time went by that quickly, so, oh my goodness, 2 hours has gone by. And I'm sure I wrote her name down somewhere, but one day in the past month, I see somebody has sent me a gift card.
Oh,
And then I saw the email. I was actually out of the country at the time, so barely really looking at emails. And then I realized, oh, this is the notary I spoke to over the summer. I
oh,
wasn't really expecting anything. I took time to call her while I was out of the country and thank her. And she just, oh my gosh, I can't believe you called me. You're traveling. And I'm like, oh, I had to. I never expected anything. This is just what I do. I'm always just happy to impart some knowledge. We're all in this together. share the info. So she just wanted to do something nice. She appreciated the amount of time I spent with her. And I just hope we can together. And it's like, hey, I'm hoping we can make it happen too, because right now I do the apostille work, but I gotta say, I don't do it alone. I gotta shout out my colleagues, Shelley Gauze and Robin White. We work together. And Jim, as I went on a 3-week vacation,
Yes, sir.
and I had jobs that had to be picked up while I was gone. And of
Right.
course, if anybody was reaching out to have a job dropped off, it was like, hey, reach out to Shelley. She's the first point of contact. And she is my support system. We support each other. And that's how it all can work.
Yeah.
This
That's a
app is
great story.
especially with
So many notaries out there hoarding or have that idea as like, that's all mine or something. And you're a perfect example
absolutely.
of collaboration that works and supporting each other to build a business. And you can't do it all on your own, especially what you guys do over there in DC is just so many notaries need your services. And you'd be hard pressed to do it yourself. You'd never be able to go on that 3-week trip. You got someone to back you up.
Exactly. I was just going to say, and as I come to know the people who are in the line at the State Department, you see the same faces most of the time. So any face you don't recognize, that might be work. That might be a place where you can generate some business. But at times, how you get maybe someone's a notary.
Yeah.
So I have actually approached people because I've seen them in the line, not daily, but maybe every once in a while I've seen the face. And so I'll ask, are you a notary? And lo and behold, in the line. And some I've heard on maybe some of these clubhouses. And I'm like, oh, so you're that person. I heard you. And you
That's
exchange
funny.
information. You
Yeah.
exchange information with everyone because
Right.
you never know what it to.
No, you don't know. And connections with other people are so valuable. You just have to ask, right? You just have to introduce yourself and just, are you a notary? And that you never know what you're going to learn, right? Or what kind of collaboration or you just never know what that is. Hey, Debbie, looking back at, say, like your first year and being in business as a notary, what's something you wish you had understood then that now that you could like impart to our brand new notaries out there, or even people that are in it?
At the very beginning, Jim, you asked me to share something about myself. And one thing I probably should have shared at the very outset is that I consider myself to be semi-retired. So for me, if it means working a full day, it's not what I'm interested in.
Right.
So if I get enough work to fill a day, hey, great. If I have work that does enough work the next day and I've got this free time, I love that day just as much. And so my first year, when I left the law firm in 2021, that's when I had really planned to leave the law firm. I actually planned to leave in 2020, but that was long. I was planning before COVID hit. So once COVID hit, we were all working from home. And I really felt, hey, now I'm home. I'm still getting paid my full salary. I'm not leaving. But then they
Yeah,
offered
right.
an early buyout. And since I had one foot out the door and everyone knew Debbie had always planned to leave, I took the buyout. And so my firm, for leaving, after being there like 38 years, I was well compensated for about a year. And that was the same year I was supposed to start my notary business. But when I had money coming in from the job I was no longer working at, I was pretty slow about getting the notary part started because I was comfortable. And in 2021, there was still COVID out there. So, people were starting to get their vaccinations. So I was slowly getting out there. I was doing some loan closings. Things were hot then.
Yeah,
I was doing loan closings, but we're outside. we're in garages. That's how the work was happening. Now, 2025, Apostille work has been my number one income generator, but I'm still a little slow about getting out there. I would say you have to recognize what you are looking for out of doing this notary work. For me, I'm not going to call it a side hustle. For me, as the work comes, I'm just happy that it comes. But I know I can push myself a lot more to get more from the general public when it comes to the apostille, because that's where I can really charge rates on the apostille facilitation. But I think as new notaries or what works for you, I know so many times we hear about all these different things to do, but really find what you enjoy doing and promote that, and the work's going to come. I know for me, I don't promote or market really, but the work comes. I had what I wanted to make in 2025, and I know I have exceeded that. Really just focus on apostille work and I'm sorry, not loan signings, but general notary work. I do have some work that I do for an attorney that she keeps me busy as well. And a lot of her work is estate. But find your niche and get very good at it. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I think that's so true. You'll find things in the notary world that just, hey, this is what I really enjoy doing, and go after those things. And just because you're a notary doesn't mean that you can't do other things too. It's like you do a little bit of work for the attorneys. So it's nice that you can mix all these things in and create an income on your own terms. That's
Yeah,
what I love the most. It's on my terms, nobody else's.
absolutely.
I don't know if you feel
Absolutely.
the same way, but yeah, I was digging into some of your stuff online, and I noticed something about you, Debbie, which I was impressed. I was looking at your Google business profile.
Oh my good.
And, I noticed that you like all of a sudden, I think in 2025, really, it looks like you really took a focus on getting reviews. Is that true?
I was
Which I think you did. You did a great job. And in this video, I'm going to show a little chart about why I think that. But I have this chart that shows your what I call review velocity, right? So we have time and we have number of reviews, and that line is the velocity. That's actually. And what I noticed about your profile is that you had a nice, consistent review velocity. So you're getting reviews pretty much month over month. You're not just getting one or two. It looks like you're getting 3 or 4 good reviews every month. How did you do that? I get that question all the time from notaries like, how do you ask for reviews and how do you be consistent on it? So what did you find this last year that worked for you?
I just started asking for it. I just ask when I'm at the appointment, hey, when I get towards the end of it. First of all, my business card on the back has a QR code and speaks to giving me a review. And I'm usually handing a business card when I'm meeting with someone. And before I leave, I just ask, hey, if you felt like I gave you good service or excellent service, would you leave me a Google review? And sometimes they've already laid that business card down, and I'll say, where did you put my business card? On the back of that business card, you can scan that. And a lot of times people will say, oh yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it. And then you don't see anything from them. And so I will usually send after the appointment, I try to do it the same day or immediately after the appointment, send a text message. Again, just thanking them for the reaching out for usually it's mobile notary service. And there's another opportunity to leave a review. And
Very good.
a lot of times that's when it comes in. Maybe it still doesn't come, but
Yeah.
sometimes, they with the general notary work, they've become a repeat client and maybe they've never left me a review. So that's when I was like, hey, why don't you do this review for me? But I
That's
do
awesome.
find that some of them think because they're repeat clients and they've done one review, sometimes they think they can only do one. I'm like, no, you can do one every time.
So what was the motivation for you to start that process? What did you see the
You,
benefit?
you oh, of course, it puts you on that 3-pack, which I've gotten to the 3-pack, and it was like, "Oh, wow, I've made it to the 3-pack." Because maybe I had someone call me for notary work, and I always ask, "How did you find me?" And they were like, "Oh, they Googled." So that's when I went and I looked. "Oh, yeah, I made it to the 3-pack. I'm right at the top." So I was watching that for a while. When I saw that happen, I thought, "Okay, I see why I really need to get these reviews and respond to all the reviews."
Yes,
Yeah, I saw it when I was working towards that, I saw the results of getting those Google reviews.
because those results resulted in people calling you and booking business with you, I'm sure.
Exactly, and then I at the same time, I was trying to post photos as well. I think
Yeah.
I was doing all of that sort of about the same time.
Yeah. Photos, many people don't know this, but photos play a huge role in relevancy and conversion on your Google business profile because people look at photos and they decide a lot of things are based upon photos. So something else I saw in your Google business profile, which just blew my mind, I was like, I never see this, and it's good, is that you have people posting reviews plus posting a photo of
Oh,
something on
yes.
your profile, which Debbie, I gotta say that those those reviews that get photos are powerful. They will stick on your profile much longer, be seen much more than any other review. The second thing I saw was when people leave you reviews, they write a book. It's incredible. They do. They write a book. I'm like, this lady is impressive because the only way
I
that
think
what's that?
I think I know who you're speaking of.
There's a
You wrote
couple
a
of
book.
yeah,
Actually,
no,
that was a review that was almost lost because I know that's an attorney I say support. She's my client normally. She's almost like a mobile attorney where she's
okay.
meeting clients in their homes, and she just always says, "Hey, what do you got on your schedule? Can you meet me here for a signing?" And so we've been working together, I think now for a couple of years. Actually, it's one of her clients that has me showing up in court
Oh,
next year. And she was present for the signing too. But anyway, she wrote a review and she said, "Oh, I wrote a review for you." And I looked for it and it never posted. I think she just didn't do something
mm,
correctly. And she copied it and sent me the text message of what she had written. And I read it and it just never showed up on my Google review. And so maybe it was about 4 or 5 months later, it came up again, and she said, "Did that review ever show up?" And I was like, "No, it never did." So she's, "Oh, no. I still have it in her saved someplace. I'm gonna post it." So, yeah, she wrote a book. I think it was only one person that really wrote as much as she wrote.
oh,
Yeah, I was grateful.
yeah. Those are great examples of powerful testimonies about you and your business. It builds that social trust. And I think the one thing I've found, and maybe you are can agree, had the same experience, but the more reviews that you're getting, the less price sensitive people become.
People
In fact, I get many calls that don't even ask about price. They just ask, when can you be here? And I'm like, okay, I just go with it. They didn't ask about price. I just charge them right there at the spot. And they're like, thank you. And I usually get a review out of them too. Wonderful. I'm really glad that you're moving towards that. You're not only a great business person and provide great service, but you're getting more and more well known online just because you're doing such a great job with your reviews.
think.
Yeah.
One other area I like to spotlight is helps people I know who might be at home. Maybe they don't have transportation, they're not mobile, or they don't have a car. They're able to walk, but they
Right.
don't drive. Sometimes with, excuse me, general notary work, when people call and say they've got a power of attorney that needs to be notarized, I will always ask them to look at that page, that signature page, and let me know if it calls for witnesses. I've been in situations you show up and, oh, your document needs witnesses.
Oh, yeah.
And it does. It needs witnesses. But I know always to ask that question. And I keep a list of people I know who may be home during the day or evening. It's like my witness list because sometimes I've got to bring the witnesses with me. And it's an additional fee. A lot of times people don't even ask, like you were saying about cost of things, but sometimes they will ask how much will a witness cost. And my price on witnesses fluctuates. It just depends on what the document, what kind of signing it is. My husband's number one on the list as far as if I need a witness. And then I actually have a repeat client who has become my witness.
Oh, really?
She
Okay.
does not drive. She doesn't live far from me. And I had a signing, it turned out was gonna be in her senior building for a gentleman who was terminally ill, needed to have 2 witnesses. My husband was gonna be one, and I was trying to come up with another witness, had to do it pretty quickly. And when I knew the address of the signing, I had a client in the same building.
Oh,
So I called her and I said, "Would you be willing to do this? You can just meet me. The person's in your building." She was like, she was happy to do it. And I knew she could use the money.
yes. I think that's
Now
really
she has
important.
been my witness. Oh my goodness. I guess about a half dozen times now through 2025. So I had another person who was always contacted, but she ended up moving out of the area. But yeah, my repeat client is also
Act as witnesses with us.
we
I
can
have
give
the same thing as I've got some people in my neighborhood that I'd ask them, "Would you mind being witnesses?" And she's a stay-at-home mom. Dad works
Mhm.
from home. They say, "Yeah, anytime you need a witness, just call us. We'll meet
Oh,
you wherever. Want to pay them well." And they're just
yeah,
it's plans to do it. It's in
absolutely.
your back pocket for sure. Yeah. We're coming at the end of our hour here, Debbie, and I have just a couple more questions I want to ask you. So, where was my question? Sorry. Just oh, if a notary is watching this and can only do one thing to level up their business and their professionalism and maybe their Google business profile, what should they do? What are you going to advise that notary to do?
A new notary?
Yeah, a new notary.
A new notary? I would say jump into general notary work. You're gonna have opportunity to see all kinds of documents.
Yeah.
Well, you'll get a lot of training across all these various documents because we know as seasoned notaries, you have not seen everything. But that will really help you get your feet wet, and it's gonna put you in a lot of different situations, and yeah, you will learn. That's, to me, boots on the ground.
Where would you
What?
recommend someone learn? What's a good resource for learning general notary work then?
General notary work? First of all, you really have to know what your state allows you to do as a notary. You just have to know that. If there's someone I would say you can collaborate with or find a mentor, it's just gonna be good because you're gonna have questions,
Mm,
and they're just gonna come up. We all have questions, right? No matter how long we've been doing this notary work, there's always something you encounter that you might have to go back to that handbook. But don't try to do the work alone. Don't try to do general notary work alone. It's just good to have a fellow notary who may have more years experience that you can reach out to because you will have questions. No matter how well you know the handbook, you will have questions.
right.
But the general notary work, you're going to get paid immediately. As soon as the job's done, you've got money in your pocket. And as a new notary, boys, there are a lot of things that you'll want to have, printers, and as you try to expand, we gotta have very nice printers and scanners, and there's a lot of equipment and maybe memberships you'll wanna join. There's paper to be bought. So general notary work is gonna provide some immediate income to you. Of course, with loans, maybe 2 to 4 paid. So that's where I would point people into the general notary work.
Yeah, I agree. That one, know your handbook, read that,
Do.
right? It's so important, and collaborate with another notary that has some experience. There's training out there too that is good too to be a part of. And so as we wrap up here, Debbie, I know people are going to want to know, how do I get a hold of you? So if they want to learn more about you, follow your work, or book you for some courier work like I do on a normal basis, how do people get a hold of you?
They can just reach out to me through my website. That's one way. I just shifted some things on my website. I would say at dbestsignature.com. That's DBEST signature.com. That's one way. There is a contact page on that website. And then they could send an email. I have a new email. I have now two of them, but this one I would use info@dbestsignature.com.
Okay, great. Is there any last words or parting advice that you'd like to give before we say goodbye to our audience?
Again, Jim, thank you for this opportunity. Again, I apologize. A little hoarse, still trying to get over a cold. But I would just say, let's be professional in everything that we do. Let's be fair. I know sometimes we all want to make money, but I hear from fellow clients or I hear from callers when they are calling around and they're trying to find out about how much a notarization is going to cost. And they're like, the last notary here in Maryland, we can charge $8 per signature if you're doing general notary work. If it's work that came through a signing service, or maybe you have a company you work with or an attorney you work with. I'm just talking about a call you get on your Google business page. In the state of Maryland, we can charge $8 per signature. So if that power of attorney was signed one time, it's $8. We can charge travel in addition to that, round trip. But when someone calls, oh, the last notary quoted me $100, and I've heard that, need to be aware of what our handbook says and
Yes.
what we are able to charge. But my parting words would be, just be the best notary you can be. There are other services that we can offer, but let's be good at them. Because I know I've seen the notarizations that had to be redone, especially with loan modifications. I see a lot of signings where people tell me right off the bat, I'm just trying to confirm the appointment. You're going to be the third notary. Now, it could be a lot of reasons why I'm going to be the third notary coming out. When they tell me that, I'm almost afraid I don't mess up and then there's a fourth person coming, but we just need to be careful about all that we do
Yes.
and just make sure we know what we're doing.
Great. Hey, thank you so much, Debbie. I appreciate your time being here. I learned a lot about you and got to meet you online, which is great. And I wish you the best in 2026. And I look forward to calling you and sending you some more courier work soon.
Thank you, Jim. Again, I appreciate the opportunity, and yeah, you're a pleasure to work with. I have to say, you're wonderful. As many of other of my fellow notaries, always good to hear from you. Some I haven't heard from in a while, so I think I need to kind of figure out some time to call and say, hey, I'm still
Yep.
here if you need me.
Knock on their door. Hey, if you have courier needs, you're a notary like me, Debbie is the gal to reach out to. So go out to her website. I'll have it listed down in the show notes and a way to get a hold of her. So you can trust her. She does a great job and does what she says she's going to do. So, Debbie, thank you. And I will talk to you soon.
Thank you again.
All right.
Take care.